Let's talk about estate agents in France because, well, they are at the heart of the real estate system in France. Real estate agents play a crucial role in the real estate system, just like everywhere else. In France, they handle a significant 75% of all transactions. However, these statistics don't fully capture the experience of foreigners involved in buying or selling properties. The French real estate system, with its language barrier and unfamiliarity, can make it challenging for non-French speakers to navigate. As a result, foreigners very often rely on real estate agents because they feel like they have no other option. In reality, real estate agents can be incredibly valuable to foreigners, but also to many French individuals who may not have language barriers, but still find the stakes very high and the subject matter fairly complicated. Unfortunately, real estate agents have a bad reputation most of the time. This could be due to personal negative experiences, hearing about others' negative experiences, or simply the belief that being a real estate agent doesn't require any real skills. There are indeed agents who lack sufficient experience and may never become true professionals in the field. The real estate industry in France, like everywhere else, sees a significant turnover, with many agents transitioning from other professions completely unrelated. Diverse backgrounds like teaching, hairdressing, law enforcement, or photography. Some possess valuable skills, while others may lack the necessary education and training. But don't despair. It's important to note that there are highly competent and reliable agents in France, just like everywhere else. The key is to find them. In the meantime, this workshop should give you some useful reference points to assist you in your search. There are some things real estate related that you should not expect to find in France. Due to the structure of the market, professional regulations, and work practices, French real estate is indeed different. Firstly, there is no multiple listing service. France lacks a unified, member-controlled, centralized listing service compiling all property data in one place for market transparency. This fragmented reality makes it more difficult for buyers to get full visibility, as the same property can be posted on multiple regional, local listing platforms by different agents. So buyers have to work with multiple agents across different areas to try and obtain comprehensive property information. Second, very important, there is zero property location information in listings. That's because agents are wary of enabling other listing agents or prospective buyers to contact sellers directly. Also, there are no open houses in France. Open houses in the traditional sense, where properties are open for public viewings, are not a standard practice in this country. Viewings in France require scheduling private appointments directly with the listing agent or seller. And there is not much room for negotiation. Real estate agent fees are generally not negotiable when buying or selling. Well, the fees are always negotiable, but agents don't want you to know. Rather, it's common practice for fees to be a strict, non-negotiable percentage, unless you ask. Here is a brief overview of the world of real estate agents in France. When you step into a French estate office, don't expect to come across a licensed real estate broker. Most of the time, that's around 75%, you will be greeted by an independent commercial agent who works under contract with a licensed broker and operates solely on commission. Occasionally, that's about 15%, you may encounter a salaried employee of the licensed real estate broker. In France, as of 2021, there were about 26,000 real estate agencies employing over 82,000 people. Property professionals in France are subject to strict regulations. To participate in real estate transactions, you must possess a license known as carte professionnelle, in accordance with the 1970 law that regulates real estate, to ensure that the public is safeguarded from unlicensed and unqualified individuals. In order to acquire this license, you must fulfill certain educational criteria, like holding a degree in law or economics or business, demonstrate relevant experience, and obtain professional liability insurance. There are about 20,000 licensed brokers in France. Many real estate agencies in France operate as franchisees of well-known national or international brands. This allows them to benefit from shared training, marketing, and online structures. Occasionally, they may also share their property listings, but that's not very common. Some of these brands include Orpi, Century 21, as we say in French, L'Adresse, or La Forêt Immobilier. The law has allowed the formation of networks in which one single licensed broker is connected to numerous commercial agents, like thousands, independent contractors specializing in real estate throughout France, all operating under a well-known brand that's heavily promoted. These commercial agents typically work from home and can easily be located through their property listings. Networks such as OptiHome, IAD, Propriété Privée, or CAPI are examples of this setup, with 1 in 5 so-called real estate agents in France being a member of such a network, as mandataire immobilier. Some online portals market themselves as home finders or house hunters, targeting foreign buyers, offering supposedly free services. However, they are not really agents, and usually they are not licensed to practice real estate in the legal sense. In reality, they function as a marketing tool for listing agents, receiving a portion of the listing agent's fee when a client they refer buys a property. These sites often employ sales reps who obviously lack knowledge about the properties they talk about, so can't provide any meaningful info and in no way can help during the purchase process. When house hunting in France, be aware of some important things which are consequences of the legal organization of the French residential real estate industry. Real estate agents typically represent the interests of the seller, not the buyer. They are legally obligated to work in the best interests of the seller who has hired them, and the only properties they can show you are the ones in the portfolio of the broker they work for. So, as a buyer, you will need to look around and look after your own interests, or possibly hire your own buyer's agent. French agents are not required to arrange inspections or provide reports on the condition of the property. There are some compulsory checks called diagnostic, and it's the seller's responsibility to provide them. So it's up to the buyer to hire their own inspectors to evaluate the home structure, systems, and so on. While agents can provide advice, in theory, they cannot directly negotiate the price or terms on your behalf as a buyer's representative because they represent the seller. They can only pass the information on to the seller. You will need to handle the negotiation yourself. Agents focus on marketing properties, not necessarily having comprehensive knowledge about schools, amenities, crime rates in every neighborhood. So, you should do your own research. There is no formal escrow process in France because the notary handles transfer of funds during the sale, which is actually pretty safe. And finally, agents often just list the surface area provided by the seller without verifying anything, without exact measurements. Most of the time, they can't even provide floor plans because, well, they don't have them. The typical estate agent probably makes less than you think. When you're selling, the fee that the buyer pays is not your main concern. You are more interested, obviously, in knowing the net amount you will get from the sale. On the other hand, when you're buying, you pay attention to the details because you will be covering the agent's commission, even though the agent technically represents the seller. That's why, reasonably, buyers should decide how much they're willing to pay for a specific property, regardless of the seller's intended use of funds, which could be as varied as retirement savings, helping the children, compensating the photographer, or paying the real estate agent. Conversely, because some agents go the extra mile to promote the property, while others just list it and wait for the phone to ring, sellers also have the freedom to determine how much they think the service they've received is worth. and hence how high the fee should be. But in truth, that rarely happens. The agent's main responsibility is to oversee and facilitate the transaction. However, their fee can significantly impact the negotiation process. Occasionally, fees may be lowered at the 11th hour, but typically there is limited room for negotiation. This is largely because the fee is a predetermined term in the contract signed well before you as a buyer enter the picture, involving the seller and their listing agent, leaving you with minimal influence. Another factor is that the licensed broker, rather than the individual you're dealing with, is actually the guy who has the final say on whether the fee can be reduced. Real estate commission rates in France can differ significantly, ranging from 3 to 10% of the property's purchase price, with an average of 5.8% as of 2022, which is relatively high compared to other countries. Interestingly, these rates are comparable to those in the USA. Commissions are not regulated, unlike notarial fees. However, it is important to note that the advertised rates must include, by law, the 20% value-added tax. For instance, if you come across a rate of 6% TTC, toute taxe comprise, it means the agency will actually receive 5% after deducting the VAT, 6% less than 20%. Once the buyer has paid the fee to the notary's account, the VAT is deducted and paid by the notaire to the French Treasury, and the net commission amount is transferred to the agency's account. Depending on the terms of their contract and the specific individual involved, the client-facing sales agent will receive between 25 and 85% of the net commission. The remaining percentage is retained by the licensed broker. Typically, commercial agents who work for a national network receive between 65 and 85% of the net amount, while salaried agents employed by the agency receive only 15 to 35%.